for God and for country. You see, Africa has a problem, and the problem is it never learns from its history. I said that because in recent times, in the country Nigeria, my motherland, a land I love so much, there's a trend going on, and it doesn't seem to want to learn anything from its neighbors. There was a time in the history of the African continent when a particular tribe in a particular country decided to exude some form of superiority over other tribes, even though they were minority in number. But they decided to downplay on other tribes to their own detriment. And that's the country called Rwanda. Today, Rwanda has learned its lessons. It has built itself, it has moved on, but it has a bitter lesson under its history. That is the kind of situation that the current leadership in Nigeria is brewing. You see, I've always said something. I love my country, and I must always protect its integrity, which I always do at every given opportunity. But when we see things going to the left, it is our duty as citizens to call those who are in the corridors of power to order. The current Nigerian leadership has one characteristic, and that is it only seems to give credence to people who are in its tribal, cycle or its religious cycle. So, in other words, if you are not a Muslim or you do not belong to the tribe from where the president hails, the Fulanis, you don't seem to have a place in this particular government. You don't seem to have a voice in this government. You are relegated to one side and you are not carried along, except for a few Southerners who have just made themselves to become yes men, which we all know them. Those ones who will tell you, it's better to give up your ancestral lands than to die on top of it. All those kind of sellouts, other than those kind of people, or those who we know them, they never had any real business except the business of government, and then they sponsored the current party into existence to take leadership. Those kind of people, other than those kind of sellouts, if you look very well, you either have to be on one of those two sides in terms of religion or ethnicity for you to have anything to do in or with this government. It goes to tell you how nepotistic and one-sided the current leader of the country is. And he's not even ashamed about it. He's not even worried about it. He's so bold and blatant about it. You see, that is the reason I mentioned Rwanda in the beginning. Because what happened in the case of Rwanda, a particular tribe, it was the Tutsi tribe, they just felt like they had everything, they had power, they had everything, and they tried to subjugate other tribe who were even more dominant in terms of population and otherwise. But you see, they only did it for a while. And when the other tribe bounced back, history today will not forget what happened in 1994. It was a bad thing that happened in 1994 that should never be repeated if we have leaders that have sense. The way Nigeria is going right now, it is clear that only one tribe, that is less than 4 million, or let's say at best 4 million, in a population of over 200 million people, seems to be calling the shots at the expense of others. Why? Because the president is from the Fulani tribe. And so, other tribes don't matter. And so, other tribes have become voiceless. Other than, like I said, for those other yes men here and there, those one or two sellouts. Other than those ones, every other tribe is maligned, is relegated. They are marooned, they can't talk. Why? Because, like I said, the president is from a particular region. You see, our leaders must learn that when an inferno comes up, it doesn't only consume one part, it consumes everybody. If people are wise, if we have good leaders, this is the time to gather the country together and renegotiate. Because what we seem to see ahead of us, it doesn't look good. This is a situation where the Fulanis will wake up one day in a country of more than 200 million people with more than 700 indigenous tribes. We wake up and say, we own all the land in Nigeria. They will be so bold to declare very bogus statements, very, very, inciting statements. And they have the full backing of the federal government, because the federal government is a Fulani man, and he has put all his men in positions of authority and power. You must learn from history, this leadership, you must learn. Because in your mind, you've already done your calculations, you've planned everything, but you will be surprised. You will be surprised. This government has the most partial leadership this country has ever seen in its history. And like I said, it's not even a shame. The federal government does not even show any bit of shame to declare how much hate it has for some other tribe who are not in its interest. Look at selection, look at appointments. You completely cut out the southeastern part of Nigeria. I'm not from the southeast. I'm an Urobo man. I'm from the Niger Delta. So I don't speak because I'm from the southeast and I feel marginalized. But like I always say, fair should be fair all the time. It must be so all the time. You cannot play double standards. People are watching you. You don't, okay, look at the recent appointment. You reappoint new service chief, no man from the southeast. In the complete total security apparatchik of our country, no man from the southeast. Even no man from the south. What kind of leadership is this? It prides itself in being one-sided. And you think people are going to keep quiet for long? It's not going to be the way you think. You better go back and look at history. It never works that way. It's never going to work. So, I say all this because it's, when you have Fulani headsmen, not just encroaching people. There was a time when it was encroaching people's farms and destroying people's crops. They have even moved beyond there. Right now, the bad elements among them are going beyond that. It has become a daily kidnapping issue. As a Nigerian, you can't even travel the Nigerian federal roads. You can't. And the government isn't doing anything about it. I'm sorry. The government is not doing anything about it. If people dare to say something, they'll say, oh, you are criminalizing one tribe. But who are the people who rear cows? Does the Yoruba man rear cow? Does the Igbo man physically go into the bush to rear cow? Does the Yoruba man do that? So who rear cows? Who rear cows? Everybody knows tradition is a Fulani tribe. All over West Africa, that's what they do. Nobody is stopping you from rearing cows. But rear it in peace. Now, they are the ones who are now kidnapping people in the bushes and killing them, setting farms ablaze for no just cause. You can't even talk because their brother is the president. So you can't talk. You talk, they go set your farm ablaze. Kidnapping for ransom is on a daily basis. It's on a daily. It has become a business. The entire Southwest. You think that when people are saying Sunday Igbo, it's because the government just blatantly refused to do anything about it because they are Fulanis. They are from the president's tribe. And so he has kept quiet. People have been shouting. Everybody's shouting. He refused. Him and his cohorts. The next thing you will see, Garba Shehu will come and tell you that the ECOWAS treaty allows them to go to any place they like. It's a federal, system. So anybody is allowed to live anywhere. Yes, anybody is allowed to live anywhere and go there and cause mayhem. And the federal government will be quiet about it. As it stands now, every other region is beginning to despise the Fulanis. You caused it for yourself. The federal government caused it. Have the Fulanis not been living among Nigerians for years? For donkey years. There are even places where some Fulani leaders have been given chieftaincy titles. So what suddenly happened? It just speaks volume to the fact that the president, the federal government, has just deliberately let these people have a field day because they are of his tribe. No matter how you denounce this thing, it's the truth. Everybody knows it. Before they were saying, oh, the Igbos, the Igbos. Now, is it only the Igbos that are completely disenfranchised from these people? The Yorubas now have also picked the call and say, you know what, this is enough. Why? Because the federal government deliberately kept quiet because they are his people. Garba will always tell you things that will keep them doing what they are doing. He will never say, you know what, this is not right. Kidnapping, no, it's not right. He will always look for a way to justify or to counter anybody who says these are Fulani headsmen. You see what I'm trying to say? So clearly the federal government has a hand in this. I don't know what plans it has, but it must understand that, like I said, no matter how you plan, you cannot subjugate the indigenous people in any way in any kind of the country. You can't. Whatever plan you have, you better put it in the dustbin, because when the people keep feeling the way they are feeling, like I said, look at the southeast. It's like we against them. Now, the southwest that you had a hegemony with the Fulani tribe, before 2015, so that they can clinch power, it's now breaking off and saying, no, we are not with you anymore. And it's ready to do anything against you. And before long, because of course the South is not even with you anyway. So before you know what's happening, everybody's cutting away these people from them. So it behoves on the federal government of President Muhammadu Buhari to gather everybody together and renegotiate issues. It's not just to call one Oni somewhere, only one Oni. In other words, you're trying to tell him, oh, your people, kind of contain your people. It's not going to work. Nobody's listening to such things anymore. It's time you call everybody together and renegotiate it. Let people make their minds open to you. Put it on the table and they trash it. In that way, the nation is going to move forward. But right now, the music that we hear, it doesn't sound like a good one.